YouTube. It is Soul Sunday today. So, yeah, I'm Carl Cheslov, tarot reader, psychic medium, 14, 15 years. Thought there was a little glitch there, did ya? So, I have chosen a word of the day out of these words. Um, my little basket with different words that I've got. The card of the day is inspiration. So, I believe that that comes from, in spirit, inspired. I think that often, when I used to work in spiritual strategies, you would do an address for the congregation. There would be some philosophy that was given over channeled information or wisdom, whatever you want to call it, for the people that were sitting there that they needed to hear. So, yeah, which is inspired. It's from something that is deeper, something that is greater than you. I think that this happens in art, it happens in music, it happens in creativity in terms of comedy, literature, also whatever it is that's being created, even if it's, you feel inspired to go and visit your grandmother, whatever it is. I think that we kind of have to trust those little whispers that are inside of ourselves. The joke is, once again, without trying to spiritually bypass, I think that everything happens in exactly the way that it needs to all of the time. But sometimes we just get those very strong, inspired moments to go and do something, and I think just follow it is super important. I also want to, so that's the word of the day. The other thing that I feel inspired to talk about, because I recently had an interaction with somebody where they, yeah, interestingly, I think that when people have a lot of trauma and pain and wounding, what can happen is the brain masks it, right? So, it's kind of the same as what happened. We have programming or conditioning that wires our brain in a certain way in order to keep ourselves safe, to keep ourselves protected. It's kind of the basis and the foundation of dissociative identity disorder. Um, it's a protective safety mechanism because we're not able to maybe deal with what is going on within our system naturally. So where this stems from is that, we're not grounded and rooted in ourselves because it isn't being safe there. The root chakra is all about safety, security, stability. If somebody brings in something to us, into our energy field, into our system, and it makes us feel a certain way and we don't know how to deal with it, it might give us a certain feeling, it might overstep our boundaries. If we can't be grounded and rooted and push back because we don't have the capacity to verbalize or communicate or express, and also maybe our safety relies on, you know, uh, are caregivers. So if you are young and you're a child and the people that are meant to keep you safe or are providing you security, stability and home, they're the ones that are responsible for that space, it can be difficult to then assert oneself and re-establish one's boundaries because you're not the person that's in control. You have to appease the people perhaps that are, your parents or your caregivers. So what that happens is it can make us dissociate, it can send us into our higher energetic centers, it can send people on a spiritual journey. But what it can do is not make us grounded and rooted in our home. Then we don't feel safe in who we are and our identity. The issue with that is that you can then have issues with gender ideology, gender dysphoria, control issues, all of these things. I recently had an interaction with somebody who kind of was, I think has some very intricate trauma. And they use this trauma as a very, very, very clever spiritual mask in order to project their own shit onto me and to make me feel bad about the boundaries that I naturally have in place to say fuck off to people who are trying to manipulate or control or play these very weird narratives in order to keep themselves protected and safe. They play out the narratives and the stories in their heads, try to get you involved in it because that makes them feel like they have the power, they have control, and that they have the safety. So this is when we get into the realms of narcissism, gaslighting. I hope I'm making sense, and this isn't a ramble of consciousness. But once again, it's how people's conditioning and wiring makes them ungrounded, unrooted, run off into higher energetic centers, and therefore they can't exist in objective reality and see very clearly what is in front of them. Now, for people that are in that space, yeah, it's difficult because then they just project and throw their shit onto you. So once again, the experience that I had was somebody who doesn't have maybe the greatest, isn't able to be at home in themselves. Maybe has had some trauma that has made them mask their pain, and there's an issue there with boundaries, an issue with masculine energy, and so in a roundabout way, they attempted to utilize a spiritual mask to look at pieces and parts of my life and then say that because of those things, it wasn't okay that I had my boundaries. Very, 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 very bad. Very bad. Unfortunately, people sometimes are working in this field and they're facilitating and they're in these positions. I will say this. I make no bones about the fact that I have had trauma, I've had pain, I've had drug addiction, sex addiction, eating disorders, that my life is far from perfect and is an ongoing process. But for people to take those things and use them as, once again, a way to say, actually, the reason that these things have taught me how to have boundaries. So I'm very grateful and thankful for them. So to try to take those boundaries away by saying, "Oh, it's just your pain," that is keeping you, trying to keep you safe and protected. Actually, you're trying to take those boundaries away from me. When I'm very happy with the experiences that I've had, I wouldn't change them. I really hope you're watching. And the thing that I will say to you, if you are watching, um, you know, changing your name isn't going to change who you are. It's not going to change your identity because you are not okay at home with yourself, your gender, and your life, and your problems with men. Sorry. So that's that. That's all I'm going to say. I really hope that they are watching. For everybody else that is watching, right? I think I got there in the end in a juicy way back to an objective. Look at that, that's fine. Into an objectivity. If you are not grounded and rooted in your root chakra shit, then what can happen is the mind, we're up here. The mind creates all of these clever ways to mask and to hide the things that we don't want to look at. That's shadow work. People that are afraid to do that and look at their shit, if they see somebody who has, you trigger that in them. They see darkness or they see shadow or they see whatever because you are reflecting back at them the pieces that are not healed in themselves. That's not you, that's them. Fortunately, there's a lot of people in the spiritual field who come from this place. And it's because, once again, the spiritual road has stemmed from pain, which for a lot of us it has, right? But there has to be a point where, Once again, if you can't stay at home, you go up and out. But you got to come back to yourself and deal with the shit that's going on here. If you are in any sort of facilitation where you're enabling people to be up and out and not bring them back down to objective reality, right, you're not doing a good job. And those people are the ones that end up, spiritually bypassing, gaslighting, projecting. So, and listen, it is okay if people overstep those boundaries to say, fuck off, fuck you. You're not gaslighting me into, under the guise of spirituality, into not having boundaries. Yeah. Yeah. Tell those people to fuck themselves. I really hope that she's watching. Said, don't message me again. Do not contact me again. Okay, so I think that is it. Yeah, motherfuckers. People will try it. They'll try and push manipulation techniques. Way. But once again, the most insidious form of that is under the guise of spirituality. Actually, I feel this really, really deeply. Go fuck yourself. Actually, please go and fuck yourself. So yeah, um, people can really, you can, by saying things like that, you could make somebody think that there's something wrong with them and that they're broken and that they need fixing, and they can live with that for years. It's disgusting. Anyway, so that's it on my high horse. Happy Sunday. Um, yeah. The joke is this. I personally believe that our trauma and our pain are our superpowers. We're given them for a reason. So our conditioning, our programming, our trauma, our pain is godliness. There's godliness there. Not to spiritually bypass, but to understand that everything happens for a reason. And maybe those things happen so that you can do and be what the piece of you that is God wants you to do and be. So that is that. Um, like I would always say, remember, all is good, all is God, all is love. Until we connect again soon in a bit. Oh, if you want to give for these videos, you can. PayPal at Kyle Treslove. If you want to work with me, you can. KyleTreslove.com. Okay. I'm hoping to go live on here and TikTok and things. I do go live on Facebook every now and again, but they're deleting videos. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So until we connect again soon in a bit.